that you would give them clarity on what's going on and just how to treat. Father, that you would restore health so that they could turn to their regular activities. Father, tonight as we discuss this business, we pray that what we do and the decisions that we make would be pleasing to you. In Jesus' name, amen.
Amen.
All right, before we approve the agenda, I want to make one change to it. We're gonna take off the executive session for tonight. We're gonna hold that until, so we can all five be present for the meeting. So, just make a note of that. We're not gonna have executive session tonight. Other than that, do I hear a motion that we approve the agenda?
I move that we accept the agenda.
Second.
All right, we have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Motion. All right, we need to approve the minutes for the June 4th regular session, the June 15th and 16th board retreat special call meeting, and the June 25th budget hearing. Also in this, let's approve the financial docket. Docket claim numbers 58890 to 59032. The administrative docket, the school activity funds, financial statement, and the consent agenda. Do I have a motion that we approve those things?
So moved.
All right, we have a motion, we have a second.
Second.
All right, motion and second, all in favor?
Aye.
Motion, thank you. Motion carried. And, Dr. Smith, that brings us down to new business.
Okay, thank you. First item under new business is recommendations. You have those before you. That's the personnel for 26-27 school year.
Let me catch up just a second.
Okay.
All right, we hear the recommendation, from the superintendent. Let's see, which one is it? It's, letter A, recommendations for the, upcoming school year. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
All right, and second?
Second.
All right, motion and second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion carried.
All right, thank you. The next item, the superintendent recommends accepting donations to be used for installation of scoreboards at both baseball and softball fields. You have that information there. Market Max for $3,500, Pike National Bank for $3,500, and then Southwest Mississippi Regional Medical Center for $7,000.
Okay, we have the recommendations here to accept the donations for installation of scoreboards for baseball and softball fields. Do I have a motion that we accept?
So moved.
All right, second?
Second.
All right, motion and second?
Business we just need to, Southwest.
Oh, I didn't think about that.
I think you've stepped out in the past.
Okay, so I'll take back.
Take back your motion.
I take back my motion.
All right, just so, Ms. Tabitha, Ms. Richardson is gonna step out for this next one because it involves, the hospital. So we'll need you to make the motion or the second on this, and this is to approve the installation of scoreboards at baseball and the softball fields. Do I have a motion?
A motion.
Okay, thank you, Ms. Tabitha. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion carried. All right.
I'm ready.
Okay, yes, sir, we're ready.
Next item, is the recommendation for organizational chart. I am aware of two suggested changes. We can either make those changes now and approve it, or bring it back to you in August. I'm aware of those changes, adding the social media specialist and the district testing coordinator. Is that correct?
I think that's.
Coordinator and the curriculum coordinator.
The science curriculum, yes, ma'am. Okay, so, just for the record, the district testing coordinator and the science curriculum coordinator are the same persons.
Okay.
Okay. And, we'll have, both of those answering to the assistant superintendent of academics, accountability, and student affairs. That falls in line there.
Okay.
All right, so, I do make that recommendation with those two changes. So that's before the board.
That sounds good. We'll vote to, approve that and just bring this back, the new one next month with those added on there, so. All right, do I have a motion that we accept the organizational chart with the two changes just mentioned?
So moved.
All right, do I have a second?
Second.
All right, all in favor?
Aye.
Motion carried.
All All right, and I think we're going to, the board has agreed to table D, is that correct?
That's correct.
Okay. Any vote on that, or we just move on? I think we just.
I think-
Move on, okay. All right, we'll table those, that's D, classified and professional, staff handbook, we'll bring those back to you in August.
Okay.
I think that's August 2nd or 3rd. All right, next item, the superintendent recommends adoption of policy GBBB. This was, set for 30 days, so that's back before you for final adoption.
All right, we have the, recommendation, we heard this last month, so I have a motion that we approve this.
So moved.
All right,
Second.
all right, motion and second, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye, motion carried.
All right, thank you. The next item, letter F, the superintendent recommends adoption of policy revisions from the 2026 legislative session. These policies, we took those directly from MSBA. I don't think we made any changes, did we? We just took them word for word.
We used our current policies and made the change to our current
Right,
policies
correct.
to reflect what, MSBA had suggested we change based on legislative change.
So all these policies deal with those, changes in legislation, and I think we did include the AI definition of AI in these policies. So just as MSBA had it worded, that's what's incorporated in our policy. All right.
The IHE, I think is the one I had mentioned to you that
Oh,
still
yes,
talks about the
thank you.
US history.
We need to remove, that is IHE, we need to remove US history. So the recommendation will be to, approve the policies with IHE. We need to remove, the language that deals with US history as a graduation requirement. We did not catch that, but Ms. Richardson did.
Okay, so we're ready. You hear the recommendation from the superintendent to approve the revisions, from the 2026 legislative session to these policies. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Have a second?
Second.
All right, all in favor?
Aye.
Motion carried.
All right, thank you. The next item, we made reference to this, I say we, Tina did in our budget hearing, bring to you information on the shortfall note discussion. I will turn, the meeting over to her, to address that. We are not, necessarily making any recommendation to you, it's to present the information so that you can decide for yourselves. And, I'll just let her kind of take that, and, if I need to chime in, I will. If not, I'll just let her handle this.
Okay, so, we talked about the shortfall at the budget hearing. So every year, we look at evaluate whether we have a shortfall by doing all the paperwork. So I've been in consultation with Jim Young in his office and been on the phone hours upon hours. And we do have reason to do a shortfall resolution if the board so desires. And to do that, y'all would have to adopt the resolution. We have a copy of the resolution drafted by Jim Young. And we'd have to take action in the resolution. It allows us to borrow for it. And then we would include this on our next tax request for a shortfall note. So every year we look at this and decide if it's what we're gonna do with it, and every year from now on, we're gonna bring it before the board, so y'all can make a decision if you wanna do this. Right this year, what brought it to my attention that really bothered me was I didn't have enough collections to pay the 2 notes that we had. It made me look at it deeper. So, all in all, after all of the computations, we're looking at about $197,000 over a 3-year period. And it'd be about $80,000 a year for the payment. This is all estimates until we bid it out. But, so that would be almost adding a little bit less than 1 mil to the taxpayers. So that's very important to know, the shortfall notes do add to our millage. So some boards choose to do this, some boards choose not to do this. If it was the other way around and they had given us too much, we would have to do an escrow and lower it for the next year. So this is a year that we're actually in a shortfall and did not collect enough by about $197,000. So, I have all the figures, I have the resolution. We are adopting a budget tonight, unless we table that for later, and we are allowed by law, we have till August 15th. I have both budgets sitting there, one with this resolution adopted and one without the resolution adopted. So, that's the gist of it. Right now on our books, I'll discuss, we have 53.85 mills that we're getting for operational. We're getting about 2.88 on our 3 mil note, and we're getting about 8.40 on our bond issue. So like I said, this would add, I should have had the figures in my head, I think it's about 64 point something, and then we'd add a little less than a mil to that. So that's where we stand as a district as far as, the millage against that we asked for from the courthouse at this time. So the resolution is simple. Do we wanna issue a shortfall note and advertise for this loan and get these funds? Or do we want to bypass that? There's consequences for both, obviously, but we're not required to issue the shortfall note. It is totally a board decision. So, any questions? I know y'all have questions. So any questions y'all like me to address, I will try my best.
We've done this in the past.
We have not done a shortfall note since I've been here,
Okay.
because it's not required. But I think it's very important to bring it up every year, instead of me sitting at my desk wondering what y'all would like to do. If y'all decide, so it'd be, the decision would be where it should be.
Right.
And not, sitting on my desk and Dr. Smith's desk only.
How much of a strain is this going to be on us if we were not to issue the
We would be
shortfall?
197,000 short. 162,000 of that is operation in district. And our notes were short about almost $35,000.
Didn't you say over a 3-year period though, or is that 197 per year?
162 is what was short.
This
But
year, in a year?
we're allowed to issue that note and pay it off in 3 years.
I got you. I was thinking that you, okay, I'm following you now.
So, like I said, this is a lot to throw. Of course, Jim and them are ready to act on whatever we do. Their office, I will add, doesn't charge us anything, and I have been on the phone with these people. They don't charge us anything unless we do the resolution and continue, and then we would have to have permission to use their services, which I highly recommend, because they cross Ts and dot Is of all the legal resolutions and meeting all the guidelines. So we would, if we adopt it, we'd have to ask permission to use them. We'd have to adopt the resolution, and we'd have to set up a new fund and bank account for the new fund for the shortfall note. So, they're ready to act if we need to do it. And if not, like I said, it will be this fast every year. This is just how the nature of the beast. We can't get the numbers until the end of June. And then about June 22nd, I had the first set of numbers, and then we started working on it. And I did, like I said, try to pre-warn y'all at the public hearing. So, like I said, but it's still the decision of the board if we decide not to issue the shortfall. It could get worse in other years, and it may be no brainer. It could get, could get an escrow and have to give it back.
So you said that we've never done this as long as you've been here.
We have not.
But how many times have we had a shortfall since you've been here?
Not very many.
Okay.
Not very many. I will say that. I think in the past, I told Dr. Smith that, me and one superintendent did all the work for it, came to the board, and they decided not to. So that was then. The other times, I've just been kind of watching, but most of the time, I will say the courthouse is giving us more money than we asked for, or at least in that range. And we've been audited. They look at this when they audit. We have not been where we had to do the escrow. and a shortfall is our choice. They can't cite you on not doing the shortfall, but they can cite you on not doing an escrow.
So what other options do we have if we don't do the shortfall?
The options are we continue like we are, we're close to the 55, as you see anyway. So we just do nothing. We just do nothing and continue to monitor it every year. Like I said, I just need to bring this decision up here so y'all can start understanding, because as we start losing state funding, this may become very important. Right now, we've gotten the positive side of the state funding. We're gonna look and see what happens in the next few years. So, it's not coming as a recommendation, it's coming as
I
a
think
information.
if y'all two think that we could survive without doing it, I think I would rather wait until we had to do it. I don't wanna do it now, and then next year it'd be really
Yeah.
I mean, we don't have a choice, you know, if we have a choice now, my thought is choose not to do it. That's just where I am.
That's why I was asking those questions, because if we can get by, cause we.
But if this is gonna make y'all lose sleep at night, I mean, if it's more dire than maybe we realize, I'd like to hear that from.
Well,
both
we have
of
two budgets to present to you.
Well, thank you, Dr. Smith.
One with it or one without. I would ask Tina, and this is really for my sake, because we had this conversation, if just for the public who may be watching, just briefly explain in plain English what a shortfall is.
Absolutely.
Because
Like,
it sometimes
very-
sounds as though,
we spent
we
more.
spent more money than we were
Yeah.
supposed to. It's just the opposite. We didn't
Mhm.
get the funds that we requested, from the county. So I may have just answered the question.
You did answer the question. This has nothing to do with us overspending. This is, we're allowed by law to ask for a dollar amount from the county. We're allowed by law to calculate a shortfall or an escrow, and when we did all the calculations, we are in a shortfall for this year. We were actually in a shortfall for last year, but we have limits. If I didn't ask for it, I can't go back and get a shortfall. This year, it was enough that we asked for to not limit me. Cause this is all a guessing game. It's all getting numbers, and you're hoping to get the right numbers, and you're hoping not to go over 55, and you're hoping everybody will pay their taxes. It's a lot of
So
stuff
is
that goes into this.
Is that how the shortfall happens, is others aren't paying their tax? Or it's not that simple?
It's really not that simple, because there's gonna be some no debt. There's gonna be some people that don't pay. They set a levy, and the collections just don't come, or all the way to us.
And for different reasons.
For
Yeah.
very different
'Cause you-
reasons, no fault of the courthouse
Right.
either.
And, like, if we said yes, that's actually taking out a loan to recover the money, and then we have to pay it back, so it's not like,
The taxpayers pay it back, the board does not.
We're putting the money.
So we're adding millage to taxes, is what we would be
I
doing.
got you. So everybody's taken,
Everybody that has that pays taxes.
that's already paying tax.
They'll get more added to their
I see the
taxes.
complications. Okay.
That's why I'm like, if we don't have to, just not until absolutely
And I'm thinking that's
necessary.
like a bus and a half. And that's a lot of money, that's a lot of money.
And, okay, so I'll add to it, cause I'm gonna be Jim, the devil's advocate on this. When you don't do a shortfall, the next year, your base goes down a little bit. We have fought our base for years, and we finally got it up, but ours is close to 55 and could be capped also. That even adds a little more complication. But, our base now, we could have added that to our base to get us, so that in the future, we can get that money. So you're kind of, when you say no, you're kind of limiting getting 200 a year. But like I said, too many 200s is gonna make us go over 55 and it's gonna count.
That's what I was gonna say, cause we're already close to that. And if we were to do that, we're almost adding another meal, which would put us right at 54 point some more.
Yeah,
to
it
the
won't add
55.
to that.
Okay.
It won't add to that. You talking about next year? Yes.
Yes.
It will add to that,
Yes.
yes, yes, yes. So I'm fine with whatever we do, I just needed to present it and let the decision be made for y'all.
Does this come out of our fund balance? No, okay,
Because we're not paying the court, taxpayers are.
okay.
Dr. Smith, did you have another comment on it, or
Uh,
it's fine if you don't?
Well, I think I was just gonna say, if the question is, do we have to do it tonight, the answer is no.
How long do we have to
I
decide?
actually asked that question, before we have to, before time passes and we can ask for it.
Okay, your tax request is due to the courthouse August 15th. So, we have to have it on that request in order to do it. And this is a Jim question, not me, but we cannot put, I don't think we can put anything on the request unless we got a loan secured. So we would need time to advertise, get the loan, get the bidder, and then put it on our request. And like I said, y'all said it also, it could be worse in other years.
Mhm.
But that's, it's gonna be fast no matter what because of the timing of getting reports from the courthouse.
Are these
And they
numbers-
can't help it.
Right, are the numbers that
It's
you're
different.
talking about, are they solid numbers? Or, I mean, cause I know there've been years where
These
your
are-
numbers and the courthouse numbers.
These are
quite high.
solid numbers backed by Bonnie Granger, is that helpful?
Okay, yeah, that helps me a lot.
The courthouse did provide all their information, we got everything from them we needed, they were very helpful. Not sure they knew what we were using them for, but that's okay. They provided all the information, it was, they provided anyway, we just got dig a little deeper this time. But yes, Bonnie Granger has reviewed everything as well.
Okay, and her numbers are matching what the courthouse is saying as well.
Yes,
Okay, cause I remember there were a couple of times that the courthouse numbers and our numbers
yes,
did not
and then
match.
Mr. Porter.
Yes,
Yes, yes. So,
okay.
there's your shortfall discussion, and, like I said, if you think you're not gonna do it, we got the budget ready. If you think you're gonna do it, we have the budget ready. If you're not sure, the budget may not be ready. But we have time to approve that as well, so both of those things can be tabled if needed. But they can also go ahead and be approved.
You gonna be able to sleep at night if we don't do it?
Yes.
Okay.
Okay.
If we don't have to, I don't know.
I don't wanna do it either.
Ms. Wilson,
Yeah,
are you there? Can you hear, did you hear the conversation?
yeah, I can hear, I need to go, I can
You have any thoughts? Prayers?
I think, I really would like to be here to actually, I think it's just the way, unless we just gotta move that way, I think we should move.
Okay.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Wilson.
So I think that we'll choose not to do it.
Okay, all right, well then that makes it, clear to us, so we will, move on to, approving
We
the
have to
budget.
vote on
Do we need to vote on that?
No, sir, that was just for discussion.
Okay. All right, so we'll move on now to the budget.
Okay. So this is the budget without the shortfall. I was working on.
Choosing not to do it, just choosing not to do it, or choosing not to do it, and look at it again,
I
Well,
think
as
we're
of now-
choosing not to do it.
That's right, choosing not to do it, and if
This year.
if something changes and we have to revisit, we will, but we're choosing not to do it.
Not for this year.
Not for this year.
Not for this year.
you need an option there.
You want this?
Yes, ma'am.
If I don't have one, I'm gonna get it back. I
Okay,
have- I have-
yeah.
Yes. Okay, so this is the same sheet y'all got at the public hearing that was provided to the, available for the public. And I'm just gonna go over changes. Okay?
Thank you.
Because y'all had this at the public hearing, we had a balanced budget, and, the only changes we made were the CTE industry grant actually came in, and it was a little bit less, so we adjusted for that in the revenue and expenditures. Dr. Smith felt like we needed to increase dual enrollment, cause that's been on y'all's mind lately. So we did increase dual enrollment, right now for 8,000 more.
Can I interrupt you?
Yes, you can.
On the dual enrollment, I do just want to, if you recall, we had a discussion back in April, and we've been unable to get back together again. Mr. Collins and I have had several conversations regarding this. And we had talked about one time about whether or not we were gonna increase the amount that we pay. So we have increased the budget from 22,000 to 30,000, and we've added a dual credit course and dual credit psychology. And so, looking at our student population, Mr. Collins and I feel, Mr. Collins feels that we just need to do a better job of recruitment and getting more kids that are able to take courses. Thank you. Okay. So we are adding the dual credit psychology. We're also adding AP art. We're adding AP computer science and principles and AP environmental science. But specifically related to dual credit, we are adding a dual credit class. So, and again, we have increased our budget. So the hope is to get more students involved and still be able to take care of those costs as we've always done. So that's kind of where we were with it, unless the board wants to take a different direction. We feel confident in approaching it that way. So I did not want to not bring that back up since we had mentioned it and had a good conversation about it before. Sorry, thank you.
That's fine. This is budget's next. Oh, that's what I was doing, okay. So we did clean up a little bit of payroll. I always clean it up to the very end. We actually saved a little bit of money there, because we had an experienced teacher and a vacancy, and we got A0. We increased the bus estimate for one bus and for the van. Those prices had changed since I had prepared everything. And as long as we can act on those, they should be locked in place to get a purchase order for the bus. It is still, we're talking about the regular ed bus, the sped bus, and the van. I did tell you at the last, public hearing that I thought we better go ahead and put another bus in for the rec bus. That will not be presented to y'all tonight to purchase, but that is I did put it in the budget just in case we needed to go ahead and do that. I did that by putting it in and getting a 16-section interest transfer, so we could just get it clear and straight. So that's the only changes we made, since the public hearing. So if you were comfortable with whatever we presented at the public hearing, here's the new sheet. That's the changes, and that's the presentation of the budget tonight. Y'all usually do get, this right here before, but I feel like this right here explains a little more detail than what y'all are looking at here. But these will need to be signed if y'all do approve the budget tonight, and it is the one without the shortfall. Any questions on the budget? I think y'all did pretty good at the public hearing.
Yeah, thank you for doing the work for this.
All right, so that's the recommendation from myself and our business managers to approve the 26-27 budget as presented to you.
Okay, you've heard the recommendation from Dr. Smith and from Tina, to approve the budget for 26-27. Do I have a motion?
I'll make that motion that we approve the 26-27 budget.
All right, I have a motion. Do we have a second?
Second.
All right, motion and second, all in favor? Aye. Motion carried.
Okay, because of that approval, the buses will be later in the agenda. We put that after the budget just to make sure y'all are comfortable with all that. So, Mr. Collins will explain that later. Okay?
All right, next item is also, Ms. Griffin, transfer of funds, you have that, in your packet, so I'll let her explain that to you.
Okay, these are routine, you'll see them every year. This is after we close out all payrolls. This is, the portion that MSFF covers for other funds, but all Mississippi school funding formula funds are, received into district maintenance. So we do send it to the special education fund to pay for their teachers, and the portion of vocational state and vocational federal. So this is just routine, this will be done for the 25-26 budget closeout. And like I said, this is routine every July to go against last year's budget.
All right, so you've heard the, recommendation to approve the transfer of funds, to close out the 25-26 school year. Do we have a motion?
So move.
Second.
All right, motion and second, all in favor? Aye.
Um,
All right.
All right, thank you. That brings us to letter J. The superintendent recommends approval of the child nutrition procurement plan for 26-27. This is from Connie Chloe, our director of food services. This is a yearly plan that we must submit, to NDE.
All right, you hear the recommendation to approve the child nutrition procurement plan for the 26-27 school year. Do we have a motion?
I'll make that motion.
Do we have a second?
Second.
All right, motion and second, all in favor? Aye.
uh,
All right, motion carried.
All right, thank you. The next several items, Mr. Hallmark is here if you have any questions. I do want him to address, some information on some 16th section, topics here, before you. Letter K, the superintendent recommends approval of Mississippi Forestry Commission authorization for services, form for an estimated $13,820 for the 27th fiscal year. So, let me just have him say a few words about that, so, we all understand what we're doing with this. Mr. Hallmark?
Okay, the Mississippi Forest Commission every year, gives a rundown of, money that they have spent, on our behalf, through the 16th section fund, and they give a rundown of what they expect to spend over the next year. They also believe you have, an estimated, projected revenue as well, third page. So first off, we spent $3,600 for bush hogging, fire lanes, and road work for this past year. But we have budgeted, a little more aggressively, $13,700 for the upcoming year. And because of, there's a couple reasons for that. One, because, the Forest Commission has been shorthanded, for the last few years and have difficult time to meet all their obligations to all the entities that they serve. So they were unable to do a good bit of work that is needed, and we're gonna play a little bit of catch up. But also because we wanna have a little bit more aggressive management plan with our properties so that we can get them in good shape, be able to monitor and better upkeep for them, which will also enhance their biddability as far as forestry, and give us the access so that we can begin further improvements. So catch up, enhance what we're doing, and build a better management plan moving forward. This amount should easily be seen in coming years as made up from enhanced revenue. So I feel good about this, and he has just recently hired a forestry person, a young lady, and I had her name, and I did not have it in this list, but she's brand new, but very, very knowledgeable, book knowledgeable, and I think our forestry guy's gonna do a good job training her, and she's excited to be here. She's from northeast Mississippi, but has moved down here for the job and is excited to be here. So I look forward to working with her. So is there any questions about the money spent or the anticipated costs? And then you have on the other page, projected revenue. You have a projected revenue, that would be on the last page in my document. where it says projected revenue of timber sale. That's a final harvest of one of our sections. That is projected for next year, so he feels like that's a low estimate. While we're not getting very good revenue for thinning or for pulpwood, the anticipated sales for linear lumber, he says, he feels like this would be the low end of it. So the good news is that we should see some revenue, coming out, and we haven't had that in a couple of years. So that's good news. Any questions about that?
All right, so the recommendation is the superintendent recommends the approval of $13,820 for the Mississippi Forestry Commission for the services that they will provide for us.
Okay, you've heard the recommendation from the superintendent, to approve the Mississippi Forest Commission. The estimate, or the figure is $13,820 for fiscal year 27. Do I have a motion?
So move.
Second.
All right, motion second, all in favor? Aye. All right.
All right, thank you. That also brings us to item L, recommendation for the approval of 16-section lease restriction document with modified lease minimum calculations. Mr. Hallmark has looked at this over the last several months. He has a recommendation to bring to the board, which in short would generate a little bit more revenue for us. I'll let him explain that, and I may have a thought or two on that. Mr. Hallmark, if you go ahead with that.
Okay. Your first document is, this is derived from the state document. It stays in compliance with the state rules, just adds our own restrictions. As you know, that we can be more restrictive or we can enhance things. We just can't take away the fundamental intent of the process. This deals with section lease restrictions. And you'll see the various classifications, but the ones that most affect us, and especially tonight, will be our residential and our hunting and fishing. I'm sure you've glanced over this document before. You'll see at the bottom, the residential will be calculated at fair market value. That's what the FMD is. Farm residential is calculated at fair market value, and all other classifications are calculated at fair market value. Now, we're looking at using this methodology, which would include a minimum bid for hunting and fishing of $14, and it would include an enhanced fair market value, which would include appraisal, in addition to what we previously we derived fair market value from. If you have a section of property and the appraiser calculates that over the course of the lease, you're gonna lose X number of dollars because it's not utilized for other purposes, and for that, for those other purposes, have been traditionally, timber sale, growing of timber and the thinning. So he gets a calculation of that timber, and how much, you get from that. Because timber sales have been depressed and the price has been down, our fair market value has come down. So the new appraisals will would have been reflected in that. But we also are able to recoup our appraisal costs, which and it can be baked into the rent, which is fair because it is part of the process. And we can also look at calculating fair market value to include what a privately held property would sell for a similar purpose if it was not for rental. So you have three items that you can look at when you calculate your fair market value. That third, the appraisal is something we haven't recouped the cost on, and also we haven't looked at what that value would be if it was a private property. So looking at that and using both state and national averages, the Pike County average is calculated into, and if you look at your other page, the estimated adjustment. You got a property type, prior lease, renewal lease. So if you have a farm residential They 14 point, these are examples of actual properties. 14.3 acres, the prior lease was $573. So now the fair market value on that same property is $286, which you add your appraisal in, divided over the 5-year lease. And so you have, so that's 28 points, the estimate, the additional is 28.6, that would be the private value if that were used as pasture land or some other type of land of similar value. So that means that property would be worth $782.98. So you do not lose money on that particular lease, you actually get a little more going into it. Residency 2, 5 acres, prior lease was $1375. The new value would be $999. So in that case, you do lose money, but you lose quite a bit less than if, well, a couple $100 less than if you had not adjusted with the new calculation. Then you have a $950 prior lease, which would get, if we don't change the calculation, $654, which will now bring 827 acres. And then you have a farm residential, which was $4,605, would now bring $3,494. And the new calculation would bring $5,335.18. So current calculation, $7,503, proposed calculation, $7,944.96. But without adjustment, if we do not adjust, you would only recoup $5,202. So you net an extra $441. Not much, but a lot better than losing $2,301. Does that make sense? So that would be for residential.
So what we would do is, when these leases become up again, we would just tell them the minimum that we would accept, is that what?
Well, we would calculate the lease the same way, fair market value, which is what we do. We're not changing anybody's leasing, we don't do that, but we'll change the leases or renewal. We have 11 leases that are, about 12 leases that are pending now, waiting on determination here. And, those individuals that elect, to lease will get fair market value, which is required by law. But we would, under the calculation, it's also approved by law, available for us, as opposed to being, we're taking advantage of something we're able to do already, and we haven't tried to do appraisals. To be honest with you, we have good appraisers, and they work hard and do a good job for us, but 16 section is difficult for them. It's not something they do it a lot of people don't do it at all, and sometimes they struggle with understanding the law themselves. So they work hard to do the best they can. And I've spoken to a couple at length, and they will freely tell you that they do this, they do their due diligence, but they'll be the first one to admit that it's hard to come up with a good number. Probably there's some legislation that could be passed that would clarify things, but that's probably not on anybody's big radar right now. So we'll probably be doing what we're doing for a while yet. The other property are hunting and fishing. That's pretty straightforward. I looked at the averages. I took some sample properties just across the spectrum. You have a 452.40 acre. Prior lease $5,551. That's at $12.27 an acre. The renewal, if you do the renewal lease, you would net $6,333.60 at a minimum established rate. And I won't go do all the reading, because I'm sure you can see that yourself, but you will look that each of these were pulled at random, and 3 out of the 4 that were pulled were well below. But you also have hunting and fishing that brings $25. You got others that bring $22. So your average is right around $14 anyway. The property is essentially the same. Some's more developed, some's less developed, some's more accessible. I would like part of that $13,000 will allow us to do things that will enhance the value of the hunting and fishing. It will also allow us to, and putting our eyes and being more intentional about our sections of property will allow us to generate additional revenue as time goes on. Better land management, better forestry management, better, management of the use. Things such as fire lanes that are cut in a manner that would, be conducive to hunting. Leaving timber along your stream beds to allow for, both it's good environmentally, and it's also, any hunter will tell you that that's something they look for. So this, the other part of this would be the recommendation to go from a 3 to a 5-year lease, because you're increasing the minimum, and that would give more of a commitment for them, and the ability for them to lock in that, for that amount of time. I feel that, since we are doing the increase and we're gonna net, which you see here, these 4 properties, a $2,041 net increase, that would allow us to increase it, but kind of giving back. And over the course of these 5 years, if we're doing our due diligence, we will, I think they'll be appreciative of how much more we're gonna be able to get revenue for us, which is good for the taxpayer, because we have more revenue to use and less to have to tax with. And it's also good for the people that lease it, because they get a better lease.
You know how many breeder leases we got? Do we have a lot?
Hunting and fishing are, I believe, our hunting and fishing were at 3. These maximum limits and terms are, is it 5?
I think
Then I may have, looked at, an older lease that hasn't come up for them. But, so if that's the case, we just are setting in stone by our document that that's what our lease terms are gonna be.
Yeah.
So that, because, you know what, I believe when I was looking at that, it could have been anything. It was just whatever we put out at that time. So we really could have had some of those 3-year leases, and we had some of those 5-year leases. So we're just kind of standardizing what we get.
Can't see that.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So that, my recommendation is just to approve those adjustments, on my presentation.
All right, so we thank, Mr. Hallmark for that work. Just an opportunity to get, any additional dollars that we can. So, that recommendation is before you, to make those adjustments with our leases.
All right, so you hear the recommendation, for the approval of the 16th section lease restriction document with modified lease minimum calculation. Do I have a motion that we approve this?
I'll make that motion.
All right, do I have a second?
Second.
All right, all in favor?
Aye.
All right.
All right, thank you. The next item is a little bit more familiar to all of us. Letter M, superintendent recommends approval of the bid for paving the stadium parking lot, submitted by Edward O'Hara in the amount of $151,687.30. We've talked, quite a bit about this over the last several months, and that, if I'm not mistaken, that was the only bid. I know Mr. Hallmark has researched that again since the last time the boards met. So that's before you, to accept that bid. And I believe that he can tell you that once approved, if the board does approve tonight, that work will begin pretty quickly. I'll let him address that.
I spoke with, O'Hare, and I spoke with, the other ones that yet to come, but I spoke with O'Hare, and they said pending or approved, they could ramp up very quickly. Obviously, we don't know what the weather could happen or any other unknown factors, but they feel good about the process. I would say about a week, pending approval of an engineer, about a week to 10 days of the engineer, and after that, about 3 weeks, and then another week to 10 days shopping. And these are generous timeframes for them, and I'm just giving the estimate, which would fall well in the window of before actually the fall season starts, and we're at the home field. I feel pretty good. I spoke with an engineer about, the nature of the work, preliminary findings by him, we'll address that little, on this.
And both of these items, M and N, are both in the budget that you just approved, so the board is.
So the money's there, we just need to approve the project.
Yes, sir.
I have a question.
Okay?
Does this address the erosion issue, that washout issue out there? That
Yes,
that's
ma'am,
gonna be
it does.
addressed?
Ms. Hallmark can address that. but,
Okay.
That's something that we have discussed.
Just wanna make sure
It
before we
does.
do that,
Yeah, I can-
Yeah, go ahead.
that will be taken care of before we
Because it's
let
bad.
asphalt.
Yeah, according to, scope of the work would include a 2.5 inch, asphalt after you have, leveled and compacted the gravel and filled in all the washes and compacted those. Once you, put down your 2.5 inch asphalt base, you will go around the, what would be, that'd be the southern perimeter of it, at the lower part of the grade, put down a geotech fabric, and, we salvaged with the hopes of maybe using it for something like this. We salvaged the concrete from the stadium project. They break that into smaller pieces. We'll use that as riprap, and that riprap will be placed at the bottom southern portion of the asphalt, so that as the water moves across in the sheet, it will be slowed as it goes through the rocks. And then if we are intentional about, developing that grass area a little bit, doing a little work over it over time, that will further, limit any erosion. So, everyone I spoke to, engineering included, felt that this is a good plan, one that they would recommend. Anything other than trying to sheet the water and letting it come in a sheet, as opposed to channeling it. There are some suggestions about, on the far side, closer to the building, maybe doing a little bit of ditching off the asphalt. We're gonna try to address some of that and use some of the riprap if we have enough of that. It might be something we need to readdress as well. But as the water crosses, goes through the riprap, slows it down, and then as it enters into the grass area, what will be the grass area, which some of that's already there, stabilized it a good bit, that it will spread out and settle out.
So are they channeling that, I'm just looking at that ditch there, so are they gonna channel the water to where it doesn't go to where it's gonna cause further erosion downhill from the stadium part?
If you notice the slope kind of, if you're standing next to the end building at the junior high, that A building, and you're looking out across that, that property slopes about a 6% grade, and it's a little more grade as it heads towards the building, close to the fence line. And then it starts to level out. Never level, but to a much less grade, more like 1% grade. And that will slow, if you take the water so that it's not, coming like a faucet almost in one or two areas, and have it so it comes out across evenly, it disperses the water. And then the rocks will serve to further disperse the water. And then as it gets to the grass, it will be moving out of a cliff that's slow enough that it can start to settle out and either drain off or settle into soil.
Okay.
All right, so, you've heard the recommendation, and the comment has been made that the, amount for this is already approved in the budget. So do I hear a motion that we accept the superintendent's recommendation, to approve the bid for paving, the stadium parking lot?
So moved.
Second.
So we have a motion and a second, all in favor? All right, motion carried.
All right, thank you. The next item is letter N. Superintendent recommends approval of the engineering agreement for the stadium parking lot for Neil Schaefer, in the amount of $9,500. We did briefly discuss this at our last meeting. I think you will probably familiar with Neil Schaefer. So that item is before you.
All right, so because of the amount, we had to hire an engineer. We talked about this last meeting. So the recommendation is to approve, their engineering agreement, for stadium parking with Neil Schaefer for the amount of, $9,500. Do I have a motion?
I'll make that motion.
Second?
Second.
All right, motion and second, all in favor? Motion carried.
All right. Okay, thank you. Letter O, the superintendent recommends the purchase of one 14-passenger van with an interior camera system, one 77-passenger bus, and one 69-passenger handicap bus from Burroughs. And again, this is in the budget that you did approve tonight.
And you said this does not include the bus that was in the accident, correct? That may be coming later.
This is only for one regular bus, one sped bus, and one van.
Got you, okay.
But the other bus is in the budget, is that correct?
Yes, I did include it in the budget, but not
But it's
in.
not in this
Not in
recommendation.
this purchase.
That's what.
This is permission to purchase now.
Okay, so we have approved the budget that includes these, three vehicles. So do I have a motion that we approve the recommendation to purchase one 14-passenger van with interior camera system, one 77-passenger bus, and one 69-passenger handicap bus? Do we have a motion?
I'll make that motion.
All right, have a second?
Second.
Okay, we have a question before we vote.
On the 14-passenger van, is that a regular, like, what kind of van is it? I'm just, 'cause I wasn't here.
It's approved by the state, according to state code, to allow us to transport students. It's actually, the van can, if it was sold privately, it could actually transport more. They remove the back seats, make that into a storage area, and it has 14 passengers, a total of 15, 14 in the driver. That will allow us to transport, students that are on, game-based students, for the small sports. It will allow us to transport, low volume kids. We can act with this particular bus, it has a sign, it has the walk-up door, it has all the features of a regular bus, except it's much smaller. And you can actually use it to pick up and drop off kids, at their homes, which is criteria that we needed to get full compliance so that we can utilize this bus for pretty much anything we would like, which could include, taking the alternative kids, taking them home and back. If we elect to do that, the numbers were well. And also you have the advantage of being able to use a regular driver's license to drive it, except for the fact that they do need to go through a little short mini bus training, just on basic operations, which would be very, very minimal amount. If I'd like to speak about the other bus.
Sure.
The bus that was in the accident, which Mr. Lomax is doing much better. He did have a head injury, as I'm sure you're aware, and he's recovering well. Mr. Moat, more serious, and we're our prayers with him that they are recovering well. And I haven't checked on them today, but I will tomorrow. And my understanding is they're doing better. But it could have been a very difficult situation. And more so than it is now. The bus was, I expect to be totaled. There's a lot of damage on all corners. The frame, the motor exhaust, windows, the actual structure of the bus is set askew. So it's, I expect it to be, I'll be very surprised if they elect to try to repair this bus. So, we were very lucky that some of our Norfolk family, buses are tough, but, that was a tough situation as well.
All right, thank you, Mr. Hallmark. So we've already, gotten a motion and a second to approve this recommendation, so we'll take our vote now. All in favor? Aye. All opposed? Motion carried.
All right, thank you. Letter P, the superintendent recommends approval of show-off lawn care proposal for ground services for 26-27. I don't know how many years they've been with us, but it's been quite some time. We're certainly pleased with the work that they provide for us. So that is before you tonight to approve for 26-27.
All right, heard the recommendation to approve, the proposal, from Show Off Lawn Care Service for the 26-27 year. Do we have a motion?
I'll make that motion.
All right, motion.
Second.
Have a motion and a second. All in favor? Aye. All right, motion
All
carried.
right. Thank you. Just for your information, in case you missed it, we've mentioned this several times before, but this, contract does include maintaining the 16 section lane off Highway 98. So they do keep that, not the entire 80 acres, but the front part there, they keep, mowed for us and weeds. All right, that brings us to letter Q. All these items, on this page, Pygot's or Special Services Director. Superintendent recommends approval of service contracts for 26-27 for special services as follows. I think all these are renewal contracts. The ERPs were attached. Rosemont Consulting Service for consulting services for evaluation services. Fluency Plus for psychological evaluations. Blue Sky Therapy for psychological and behavior therapy. NASPIRE for rehab group for occupational and physical therapy services. She is here tonight if you have any questions regarding those companies. I believe we've used all of them before.
All right, I'm not sure if I need to recuse myself, but my daughter receives these services. Should I?
I don't think so.
It doesn't matter.
Whatever you're comfortable with, I see no reason. Ms. Kaplan, do you have any? I mean, I guess it's always safe to be sorry.
There are three of
Yeah.
y'all with Ms. Talbot, so I'll step out.
Yeah.
You handle this one and I'll be right.
Okay, all right, sounds good to me.
It's better safe than sorry.
All right, we'll do that. All right, Ms. Kaplan, so that recommendation is before the board.
All right, we heard the recommendation from the superintendent for these 4 items. Can we get a motion to accept the approval for these?
I'll make that motion.
A second?
I say,
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? No. Okay, motion carries.
All right, that takes us through, Mr. President, through all our new business. I do have a couple things I just want to bring to your attention tonight. Of course, both of our assistant superintendents are here for their first official role. Mr. Hallmark, we appreciate your time tonight. Mr. Collins, we appreciate the way he presents himself tonight in his shorts and his hat.
Me too.
But our board president is in shorts also, you can't see that, so we'll forgive them both tonight. But anyway, in future board meetings, Mr. Collins will have just as much to present, so we're gonna give them both an opportunity to do that. So nothing on the agenda tonight really pertains to Mr. Collins' role, so we do thank him for being here, and also Mr. Hallmark for his work on what he's done. I just want to bring to your attention a couple items in the folder that I believe you have. The first item just deals with some dates for the 16th section tour. Basically, we just chose those dates because it's cooler weather. Give you an opportunity. I know it's difficult for all 5 of you to get together, so we do have 4 different dates there. So if you'll just consider that in the coming 30 days or so, we have time to finalize that. And we can do that any way that the board chooses. The only caveat that I would say is regardless of what day, we do have to try to be finished by 1, so that if a bus driver is utilized, we can get them back to start their afternoon route. Really no need to discuss that tonight until you all 5 get together and kind of figure out what's the best way for y'all to proceed on that. But we are prepared on all 4 of those days, or either of those days, or how it works out. The next item is just the July calendar of activities. I just want to remind you that student registration begins next week, believe it or not, on the 7th and 8th. The following week, or that weekend, basically everyone in the district will be at some type of conference. That's the Mass Leadership Team, CTC conference as well during those dates for their staff, and our summer school police officer conference is during those dates as well. All of those conferences are on the coast, so those dates may not be exactly right, but somewhere in that window, most everyone except a handful of folks at central office will be at those conferences, and we do that every year. Student registration, we're doing some additional dates at the end of July, affidavits only. And then, of course, sneaking up on us, teachers do return on July the 24th. That is a Friday. I did hear in a meeting Tuesday that Macomb teachers start July 13th. So that's rough. Well, at least I think it's rough. So July 24th, our teachers return, and then that following week, that Monday through Friday, is a staff development throughout that week, okay? We will have a district-wide meeting on July the 30th at the high school. That'll be similar to what we've done in the past, not exactly the same, so we're kind of finalizing that as well. And then students start that next Monday. So we will not have a regular meeting between now and the time school starts. So just be mindful that the traffic will be backed up. If you get calls, just give me a call, give me a text, and we'll work through whatever issues. And within a couple of weeks, we'll have all that worked out. Yes, ma'am.
Don't laugh too much, but we probably need to do at least a robot call.
Yes, okay.
We haven't had them like every day for a month.
All right,
We probably
we'll
need to
that.
do
We can
one
make
or
sure that
two.
we can do that. And then in the back of that packet is just the list of job descriptions. I believe, that those are, if we're missing anybody, we'll have to go back and revisit that. I know that, the police officer is not a part of the packet. That information is in the police officer manual that the board's approved. We'll probably need to go back and, pull that and do an actual job description, for them, and we will certainly, do that. And then you have your list of your vacancies, based on tonight's budget. You see we look pretty good there, with the exception of, we need quite a few bus drivers, but, we're still working on that.
So I think we approved a few bus drivers tonight, and,
Tina, did these include that?
did,
These vacancies, you can read at the top, it's gonna be like that every month. It's gonna be after you make approval tonight, this is the vacancy. So I'm including people we hired or off of that list.
so we still have this many?
This is after tonight's
Okay.
meeting, the vacancies left.
Okay.
All right, and I think that's all I have for you, unless anyone else, Tina, you have anything else? I do have some signatures that I need to get, from you. All right, that's all I have from this point.
All right, well, that brings us down, the only other thing on the agenda was the executive session. We approved to forego that tonight at the beginning of the meeting. So do I have a motion that we adjourn?
So moved.
Second.
All right, motion second, all in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Ms. Tackett, you,